Hey everyone, we're on day 3. This is kind of exciting. I think today is probably my favorite day, just because we start getting into like the real nitty gritty, which is quite fun. So I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to join because I've started a couple of minutes early. For anyone catching the replay, this is my time to talk to you guys. All right, let's see who we've got. Susie's just joined us. Susie's always the first one in, by the way, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning, where are you?
Oh, I'm East Coast, so I'm in Toronto.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was going to say morning. I was like, it's 3 p.m. for me.
Yeah, I've been slightly like rolling out of bed, running straight to this.
This is why you're always the first one in, because you know, just stay on it. All right, Annabelle's here. Working is here. Who's working? Is this like a status update rather than a name? Annabelle's here. Jeanette's joining us. It's so funny because it gives me this little notification, like a name pops up, and there's Jeanette, and so it's like, oh, Jeanette is joining us, and then I have to click to let you guys in, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Jeanette's here, and it has this funny little delay where it takes like a second to actually let the person in, and so I'm already chatting away like, Jeanette's here, cool, like she's not in yet. It's just down there. Any second now, Charlotte is joining us. I've let her in. She'll be here in a second. There we go. Charlotte's in. All right, I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes. Honestly, it's so sweet. After every like replay email gets sent out, I have so many replies from people who are like, I couldn't make it live. I really tried, but like X happened or da 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 da. And I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good. But for anyone else that is going to try and join us live today, I want to give them a couple of minutes. So let me know, everyone that is here, just let me know how you found yesterday. What was the kind of key takeaway for you specifically, because we had quite a few things that we had to get through. So let me know in the chat, like, what was the big thing that you took away from it that you wanted to focus on or that you're going to focus on. For everyone that's also joined us in the Facebook group, I'm so excited because Cameron's here. Good job. Everyone who's joined us in the Facebook group, it's really exciting because, again, after the first day, I had so many messages from people who were like, oh, I'm a director and I saw that there was an editor in the live session, and like, I'd love to be able to get in touch with them. It was really exciting that, you know, I'm starting to see like all these connections happening in the Facebook group. It's very nice. All right, joined us. Cameron, I'm getting everyone in the chat to, hello, by the way. I tend to just dive in. I should do like small talk, but no. But everyone in the chat is letting me know like what their key takeaway from yesterday's session was, because we touched on quite a few things. So I'd love to know for you specifically, what are you going to focus on from that? And then once we've got all of that kind of like out of the way, we will get on with today's session, which is all about getting into like the nitty gritty of finding your audience and sort of building an online platform. And it's always a little bit scary. Every filmmaker I know hates talking about it. They think it's going to involve like going live on Instagram every day. I promise that's not what it is. But it is going to be one of the really key components to having that sustainable career, because visibility, like as kind of corny as it sounds, it's really, really important to make sure that you are staying not just visible but relevant. And that's how you get jobs, and it's kind of like the new nepotism in a way. You know, back in like old Hollywood, so and so would get a job because their dad was, you know, so and so. Now the new kind of nepotism is just like Instagram. And And if anything, I think it's a bit more ethical because you have to put work into it first. But there are definitely ways to really utilize it, and there are some amazing results that you can get if you do it properly. And properly really just means having a strategy for it. So that's what we're going to do today. All right. Jeanette says, I think for me, the main thing was finding the stories that we want to write, not that we think will sell well. Yes, I love that. And I realized that I've not been as inspired with my screenplays that I thought. So now focusing on something new, maybe start with something shorter. Oh my God, I love that. Honestly, I got stuck. I was in a really bad rut of like, okay, I know I need to make a commercial film because of like X, Y, Z, and I just wasn't loving it. And I also had a point where I'd gotten so used to taking jobs just for the sake of like, I don't know, I had that mindset of like, I just have to keep working. And I took so many films and like, I never want people to see. I don't want my name attached to them. I cannot stand them. But like, it's always a tough little pill to swallow, I think, just because you're like, oh shit, all this stuff I was working on and I've put so much into. Like, I don't think it's really my thing. But trust me, it's so good that you're doing that now and you have this lockdown time to really get clear on all of those stories that you love specifically. And those are the things that are really going to come alive when you're pitching them, whether it's like to a big producer or whether it's to your friend over coffee because you love them and you care about them. Those are the really successful pitches because you're able to convey that passion to someone. I have a friend of mine who has been wanting the rights to a book for like 10 years now. And she was like, okay, now I'm at the right place. I know I can get the right budget for it. You know, I can secure enough of the financing, get the right cast. And just as she went in to pitch, another producer came in. And it's still open, like the writer's going to decide which one she wants to go for. But honestly, I think that my friend has a much stronger chance because the first sentence of her pitch is, I remember reading this book 10 years ago and it's been stuck in my head ever since. And it's that passion that really gets projects over the line. So I'm so excited that you're focusing on that. All right, Susie says that who I use as a filmmaker question definitely stuck with me and got me thinking through the rest of the day. Yeah. Tuesday was like, Tuesday's always the tough day because I have to ask you like the prodding questions where we finish the session and you're a bit like, I didn't really want that question, Charlotte. Like, why don't you ask me something nice, you know? But we had to get the day out of the way. Cameron says, just reflecting on where I am now, what I'm trying to do, what are the types of stories I care about, what is my voice, who's my, oh yeah. Starting to think about your slate. Yeah, and tomorrow we're doing a big slate day as well. So you've got the rest of today to really think about those stories that you love and that you care about, and then we're going to start to build out a slate based on that. So if anyone hasn't done that, put that in the chat and we will keep looking through that. But let's talk about audience because it's my favorite thing. And honestly, the reason I love it so much is because you can get the most incredible results for very little work. And fundamentally, I'm very lazy. If I haven't said that yet, I really, really am. So the idea that you can get these results from not spending crazy amounts of money and not having to be on it every minute of the day is the best part, because we all know how hard it is to make a film and how much money it takes anyway. If you can do something that is not going to take you any money or any extra time, like why the heck wouldn't you do it? So just like a quick example of the results that I got from a tiny little short film. I think it was my third short film ever. Budget was £2,000. We crowdfunded it. We have festivals coming to us and waiving the submission fees just because they'd seen a few posts on Instagram. So when you do this properly, and it doesn't have to, kill you, you can start getting those results where you're saving like £300 plus on, total submission fees for your festival run. So again, this is why I say we put it into a strategy so that you don't have to have that last minute panic of like, oh shit, Charlotte said it would be a good idea to post on Instagram, but I haven't done it yet. What do I do? So we're going to, create a whole plan for it. We're also going to outline a kind of like rinse and repeat formula so that every time you're making a film, you can just follow through on the plan and you don't have to be like, oh, I have to start from scratch. All right. So when I think of like audience building, I have a very set idea because it's kind of what I do and it's what I help filmmakers do. But I want to know what you guys think of. If I said to you audience building, like what's the very first thing that comes to mind?
Like growing community, that's like the first thing came to my head.
Community. Cameron says know who they are. Yeah, Okay.
I'd say
Yeah.
maybe different marketing campaigns, maybe to
Mhm.
try and get to them either offline or online.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So I think the key thing, like we've got community know who they are and the strategies. The key thing that no one has mentioned yet is the fact that they're all people.
Oh.
Love it. But we all like every single one of you, and I don't even have to go into detail about this kind of post because I'm going to give you an overview and you're all going to be like, oh, yeah, I know that kind of person. You will have all seen the post from some, filmmaker, maybe that you know kind of well, or maybe that you just know through Facebook, who has just had some kind of award or something, and all he posts is a screenshot of the email to say that he was accepted to whatever, or that he's won whatever award. And he gives no other info other than hooray for me, right? And everyone just goes, cool, next.
Yeah.
And the key thing to all of that, that's a really bad, that's the most extreme example I can give you, but it gets to the point quickly. The key problem with all of that content, and it's what we naturally think of putting out in terms of content, is you're not actually providing any value to anyone. When I say audience building, we think of it as a numbers game because it kind of is, but every single number really is a person, and that person has their own stories that they care about, their own problems, their own things that keep them up at night. What their first thought is when they get out of bed in the morning. Susie's, for instance, she's in Toronto, so she rolls out of bed and joins us immediately on here. That's her first thought for this week. Everyone has their own set of things, and so when you are doing that marketing, the key thing you need to be doing, because it's something that you do have to do kind of continuously, and every time you have a new project you have to do the marketing for it. It's really easy to get into that mindset of, okay, go and do another Instagram post, cool, let's check the numbers, see how everything's performing, it can become very cold. And as indie filmmakers, that is the one thing your work can never be, because that's not why you're in this. Like, if you want to make cold films that just perform well at the box office because you cast whoever you cast, like, go to the studios, that's their game. They can afford to do that. We're not really in the game for that. Everything that you thought about yesterday when you thought about those stories, Jeanette is now realizing that she needs something new because she doesn't love the things that she currently had. And this is the key thing. The fact that you have that standard of knowing, okay, I don't love this, so it's not good enough, that's a really high bar. And we got to stick to it in every single thing that we're doing. So whether it's making a film or whether it's an Instagram story, it's got to come from that same place. So again, it was a bit basic to say people, sorry about that, but it really is a really important thing to remember. So for anyone writing notes, I can always see Charlotte like smoke coming off her pen. But this is like, if you only write down one thing, that's it. You've got to provide value to the people. Whether you've only got 5 people, whether you've got 5,000, it really makes no difference. And another great thing, when you're getting this right, and you're going to know that you're getting it right, what you write, whether it's like an Instagram story or a full blog post or it's a short film that you've made, it's going to spark something in the people that watch it. It was only a few months ago and I got into this like bad kind of cycle of like, okay, I know I've got to be posting on Instagram because it's my main platform, and I kind of just, like, I didn't take it seriously. The only way I kind of took it seriously was the fact I was posting like twice a week or 3 times a week and beating myself up because I didn't think that was enough. And then I realized I wasn't really posting anything interesting or anything of value. I mean, I could be telling people like tips on film festival strategy, but that's not the kind of value that people really need. And so I took a huge break from it, and then another like mini break because I got distracted. But I'm starting again now, and I'm completely like laid bare in everything that I write now. Whether it's a story, whether it's a post, you can go and read some of the like very lengthy captions that I'm writing at the moment. And I know that I'm doing it right because I get so many messages after every single post. I get so many questions or so many responses. And that's when you know that you're doing it right and you're providing the right kind of value for your specific audience, because they are going to feel compelled to write back to you. And this is a really important concept, not just in indie film marketing. This goes like global, which is the kind of old power versus new power battle. And it's the new power that we really need to harness. So old power is like any big institution, and you know what it's like, they just talk at you. They're not expecting a reply. They don't even want a reply. You try and reply to them and they freak out. Whereas new power is much more of a flat structure. It really wants you to engage. Thing is, think about like the Ice Bucket Challenge. That's a brilliant example of something new power. It was malleable enough that everyone could do it in their own way whilst keeping the same original construct, and it went worldwide because it had that flat structure and it encouraged people to engage, or kind of forced them to, because you had to tag people to do it. Anyway, it's not really the point, but you need to really be thinking about harnessing that new power feeling when you're putting any piece of content out there. You know, you want to be encouraging people to get involved with what you're doing. That's how you're really going to build an audience. Because, you know, we look at people like, I don't know, look at any big celebrity's Instagram and you see like however many millions of followers, and you think, wow, that's a big audience. But actually that's not really the goal. I mean, you could build a big audience, that's fairly easy to do, but realistically as an indie filmmaker, you're not going to be able to leverage that. You know, you might be able to go in and say, well, we've got 3 million followers or whatever, but it's not really going to have the results that you need, because it won't be an engaged audience, because it will have just been numbers. So for you, getting really clear on who you are as the filmmaker and knowing the stories that you care about means that you can do all of this marketing from that really central core feeling. And it means that when you're building that audience that really cares about what you're creating, they're going to want to watch your films. You know, think about any filmmaker that you love, and why do you love them? Like, I personally love Greta Gerwig, not because I think she is the best director out there, but because she is the only director on this big scale doing it her way. You know, you look at Little Women and it was completely new. Like, no one else would have done it that way. And so when the announcement broke that she was directing an adaptation of writing and directing, I should say, an adaptation of Little Women, I spent a year being so freaking excited to see that film. And the second it came out, I was there. And then I went back 4 times. This is what I mean about an engaged audience, all right? In the same way that with Promising Young Woman, I always call it Woman, for instance, which was at Sundance however many months ago, which is a Lucky Chat production with Carey Mulligan and Bo Burnham. The trailer is insane. If anyone hasn't seen the trailer, go and watch it. I went to like a test screening of it, and I have not been able to get it out of my mind since. And it was due to release in a couple of weeks. And the other night, I could not get to sleep because all I could think was, they're not going to be able to release it in April, which means it's going to be even longer before anyone sees it. And that was my whole thought. That kept me awake for hours because I loved that film. And all I want to do is sit down and talk to other people about it, which I can't do yet because I'm contractually obliged not to. That's not the point. You know, you want to have that same kind of reaction from people. So whether it is just like a tweet or an Instagram story, and I'm not saying you have to overthink it every single time, but you just need to kind of center yourself from that place of what do I love and who am I talking to make sure that all of your content has that value. And really, you just need to make sure you're not that guy posting a screenshot of something like, yay me, you know. If that's the kind of reaction you want, like, go and tell your mum and then, you know, live off of that. That's not really what we're in the game for. All right, so once you started building that engaged audience, and we're going to get into a few strategies in a second, but I want you to know that you can leverage it for literally anything. Like, festivals coming to you is the start. You can be getting producers, cast, distribution deals by leveraging your audience. And the key part to this is knowing who they are and keeping them engaged. Because all anyone in the film industry really wants is for people to watch the film. You know, we spoke about it yesterday, whether they're a festival programmer or they're a huge distribution company, they just want some kind of sense at best, well, at worst actually. Really, they want a guarantee that people are going to watch this film, which is why we see, you know, all of the studio productions have these inbuilt audiences, because they're going for the pre-sold franchises. You know, they're going for the Marvel films because they know it's going to have a big audience turnout. Bringing your own audience, or rather bringing your own engaged audience, is your way of saying, well, like, I know I'm not a Marvel film, but here you go. And it also means that when people actually get to go and queue up to buy a ticket to see your film in the cinema, they're going to remember first seeing you on Instagram like 2 years ago, and they're going to feel like they are a part of what you've built because you took them along with you. And this is another really core element of new power. And I mean, you could do it the kind of old power way of talking out people and being that kind of, you know, untouchable, you know, you keep everyone kind of at a distance. If that's what you want to do, cool, but the studio route is kind of more for you. As indie filmmakers, it's so about heart and passion. And that we have in excess. And that's why I'm saying share this online, because I know it's something you have an endless amount of. And so when we look at, you know, marketing strategies and things, it can sound quite cold. And this is why I need you to remember, like, this is the core focus of it. All right. Everyone got that? Everyone good? That was quite a lot of talking. Everyone's happy. Marvelous. Bless Charlotte's poor wrist. It's going to be very tired. Cool. So the key platforms are usually Facebook and Instagram. These are the ones that are kind of easiest to stick to. Instagram is great because it's obviously a visual platform and film is a visual art. It's also really free to do. And when you upgrade to a business account, you get all of these great insights as to who your audience is, when they're most online. You get a breakdown into location, age, gender, all of that stuff. And so that can be really useful to check in from time to time. You can see which posts are performing best. It's also a good way to kind of like check yourself. If you find yourself getting into that rut like I was of like, I've just got to post, it means that you can kind of check yourself. And when you see your posts not performing as well as they should have done, you know that you probably slipped slightly from providing that value that people need. And that value doesn't have to be like, you don't have to be providing people with like inside tips on camera techniques or writing techniques or anything like that. Value can just be letting someone into your lives for a little while, you know, especially now when we're in lockdown. All anyone really wants is some kind of vague connection. My neighbors keep putting like they've got a little note system going. So one, you know, writes on a big piece of paper and holds it up to the window, and the other one replies. Like, that's the connection that they're going for at the moment. So, you know, that can be the value that you're providing for people. So again, Instagram and Facebook are great because they are free, they are easy, everyone knows how to use them, or if you don't yet, they're really easy to get to know. Twitter is also quite good for kind of like film networking, but in terms of providing that value, you're kind of limited. And I always forget that I have it, so I don't tend to use it. But then, you know, if you've got Twitter down and you love it, like, focus on it. Just because I'm not fantastic at it doesn't mean that you shouldn't focus on it. So when it comes to keeping people engaged and interested, it just comes from consistent posting with that value. So we're looking at about 3 times a week. And this doesn't have to be, like, if you're posting on Instagram and Facebook, that doesn't mean that you need 6 separate posts with 6 very long captions. Doesn't have to be that. I post exactly the same things on Instagram as I do on Facebook. But no, like, unless I have a real stalker online, like, no one's going to see all of it, you know? What you're going to find, especially as your audience gets bigger, is that, you know, some of them will see something on Facebook, some of them will see something on Instagram. They won't see things on both, and they won't see everything. So if it feels like you're putting too much content out there, or that you're kind of spamming people, you just have to remember that no one is following your every move online, or if they are, then that's kind of a police matter. That's another thing. You don't have to worry about spamming people. And, you know, when you know what it is that you love, suddenly it's really easy to try and figure out like what the content you should be sharing is, because you're going to know what's most interesting to you. You know, for me, I'm obsessed with like the little moments of life, which is a really stupid thing to be. If anyone else is, like, let me know, because I'm starting to feel like an idiot. But it's just these little things that I really pick up on. And so it's those things that I write down and I'll keep in a notebook or on my phone or whatever. And those are the things that I can use from time to time if I've run out of things to say to people, or if I don't know, like, you know, like if nothing interesting has happened in my day, I know that I have something from like 3 weeks ago that I can talk about. I tend to be quite like optimistic to the point that people think I'm not taking anything seriously. I tend to just try and laugh at everything or find the funny things. And so that tends to be where the bulk of my posts come from. And so they just like, I wrote something a little while ago now about how I went to, all I wanted to do was go and buy some bread, I think. But the supermarket shelves were like empty. If anyone else is having this problem, like, you know what it's like. It's a bit galling to go in and be like, there is no food in the supermarket. It's a bit scary. And so I had a full-on like breakdown outside the co-op. I guess freaked out a little bit. And this guy in like full running gear, like came up to me and was like, excuse me, do you know what kind of bird that is? I was just like, what is going on? So, again, you know, that could have been quite miserable, but I just found it hilarious, if a bit confusing. So that was something I posted to Instagram. Anyway, I got a slightly concerned email from my auntie the next day. That's not really the point. The point is that, you know what you find interesting, you know kind of what really, so if you are like me and you just try and like find the funny side of everything, all of your posts can be from that. If you have a very particular sense of humor, go for it, you know, lean into it. So one thing you can be doing today, you know, yesterday while you were thinking about the stories that you love and what you really kind of want to be known for, you can spend today thinking about who you want to be known as. Or, you know, that makes it sound a little bit like I'm saying create a whole professional identity. I don't really mean it like that. I'm just saying, which parts of yourself do you love the most that you want to lean into, that you want to share online, that you think is going to be really engaging? And I don't want anyone here going, well, like, I quite like this, but I'm not sure anyone will find it interesting. I don't have time for any of that shit, and neither do you. Like, if you think it's interesting, post it. Don't get too caught up in like, well, other people might not like it. Don't worry about it, you know? And if something, like if you're posting things and finding you're not really getting any kind of interaction or engagement, that's fine. You can try something else, you know? There's going to be way more than just one thing that you can lean into, okay? So I keep going into strategy and then getting distracted by men in running anyway. So 3 times a week, don't be worried about what you're kind of like. If you feel like you're sharing too much, don't worry about it. The thing that you have to really remember is the fact that it used to be 14 times that someone had to see your offer before they took action on it. So it used to have to be like an advert that you saw or whatever before someone actually took the time to click on it or whatever. For us, that means maybe sharing a trailer or watching a trailer from their perspective. That means they're going to have to see something about your trailer 14 times before they're going to watch it. And I'm telling you 14, I hate to break it to you all, but the new like updated figure is actually nearer 25. Sorry. But I'd start you off on 14. So that means, you know, potentially 25 separate posts about your trailer before anyone watches it. Which is why when I say, like, it's one thing to have a massive audience, it's another thing to have an engaged audience. Because that engaged audience wants to feel a part of what you're doing. And so it's going to really try and cut that number down so that it's maybe only going to take them 5 times of seeing whatever before they click on it. You know I have people in my audience that the second I run anything like this, whether it's, you know, a one-off masterclass or a week-long series, they're there because they read all my emails and they really want to know, like, whatever it is I'm talking about at that particular point. I really hope it's not men in running gear that I'm talking about at that point. But they want to know what it is I'm talking about. They take action. Whereas other people, you know, I have to put out like 10 different posts before they're like, oh, I guess I'll maybe have a look at that. That doesn't mean they're joining me on the series. It just means they're going to have a look at a bit more of the detail of what it is. So it's, you know, it's one thing to say everyone is a person with their own interests and loves and things that keeps them up at night, and that's who you're talking to. It's another thing to remember that they're all really freaking lazy. So although you're marketing to them on a really human level, which, you know, no one else apart from indie filmmakers is really doing, they are very lazy. So don't get disheartened when, you know, you're putting out all of this beautiful, valuable content and you're not getting the huge numbers. You know, you're not getting massive numbers of views on your trailers or whatever it is. I seem to have stuck with trailers as the example, but you just need to remember that, you know, on the one hand, social media is amazing for, you know, free marketing, and it's very easy to do. But equally, anything on social media, everyone's in scrolling mode. So you just have to really lean in to what makes your content amazing. And that's going to be the thing that actually gets them to stop and read the whole thing. So, does that make sense to everyone? Cool. Let me just say, Cameron says, are your audience going to keep caring / not feel bombarded with the repetition if they see the same trailer being posted 25 times? Oh, or is the idea that you're posting 25 completely different things all have a link to your trailer? Yeah, it's got to be different things. If you're just posting your trailer, like, what's in it for them? Nobody gives a shit. I don't give a shit about your trailer. I'm having a call with you on Tuesday. I really should, you know? But if I see your trailer 25 times, unless it's something that I'm actually interested in, yeah, I might look at it later, you know? So again, once you know your audience and you've gotten used to providing that value, you're going to be able to come up with really creative ways of resharing your trailer in order to get people interested. You know, you can do it from kind of different perspectives. You could do it from quite a logical perspective for anyone that's particularly logical. You could do it from a really emotional perspective for anyone that really wants that, like, more heart-to-heart connection. You know, find something about your story of making this trailer and share that online. You know, every filmmaker has some kind of hilarious story. Share parts of that. You know, people want to feel included in it. My favorite, like, on-set story is when it was a feature film and we were shooting across like a 2-story like interior building thing. There was a great big hole in the middle of the second floor so you could see down to the first one. And we got someone else in the AD department. We were all on channel 2 on the radios. And so whilst they were shooting downstairs, we were like, can you go and like blow on that actor's ear without him noticing? It was almost like truth or dare. We just had this whole thing. Anyway, that was one of my favorite things. I haven't told it brilliantly, but if I were to put it in an Instagram post, I'd really pack it out, you know. So you can, you know, find those little elements and use that to share all of your content. But you do need to make sure that you have a strong goal. So when you're planning this content out, you need to know what your goal is. So if you know that you're going for a festival release in September, you know that you want to spend maybe like 4 months really building out the excitement for it. So you're going to need 4 months worth of content. So again, we're talking from that perspective of the big goal and then backtracking using the stepping stones. So if your big goal is to get like 10,000 views on your trailer, whatever it is, by this date, you need to know, you know, backtracking your calendar, you need to know that you need to start at this point and post X number of pieces about your content in order to really hit that target, okay? Scheduling content is a great option for you because once you've got all of those dates put into your calendar and you know when you need to be posting, you have that sense of what it is that you're going to be posting, it makes life a lot easier to schedule it. I use Planoly. I'm just going to write that in here because it's kind of difficult to say. Don't autocorrect it, that's not helpful. Planoly. There are also a couple of other apps / websites. You just do a bulk upload of all of your images, rearrange them in the order that you want, put the captions in, set the time and date that you want them to go out, and it'll post it automatically for you. Makes life a lot easier. And this is what I, you know, said at the beginning, this doesn't have to take over your life. You don't have to be sitting at home like, oh my God, I missed this. I was meant to be posting it. Now no one's getting, don't worry about it. Just schedule it out. It's going to be fine. So what I want you to do is take that time to really think about the value that you're providing, what, you know, whichever film it is, whatever stage you're at, think about that value. And, you know, I always focus on Instagram and Facebook because they work for most target audiences. Like 18 to 25 market is usually Instagram. The older generation love Facebook. They, you know, live for it. So in the Facebook group today, I want you to let me know what the kind of themes you're going to focus on. What are those points of value that you're really going to lean into with your content? If you feel completely stuck, also let me know in the group and I can help you with that. And if you have a sense of who your audience is, you know, if you know that most of the stories that you love are kind of for the 18 to 25-year-olds, like, let me know that as well, because I can give you some specific pointers for what content works well for specific demographics, okay? So, is everybody good? Anyone got any questions? We got a couple of minutes left. We good? We cool? I love when you all really like, you all literally lean away from the camera. You're just like, she asked for questions. All right, I will see you in the Facebook group. Again, you know, another thing you can be doing, just because I'm aware of like how slow minutes seem to go in this lockdown time. If you want like any kind of bonus prize, there's no bonus prize, but just pretend. Make friends with one other person in the Facebook group. So if you see someone else's post, I think Cameron and Annabelle have already done this, Jeanette's already doing this. See someone, you know, if you see someone's post in the group, like leave a comment, get to know them. And I've already had, I had the cutest message earlier from, I think she wants to be an AD, but she's already like connected with a director as well as a writer. And when we look at this kind of like post-corona plan, honestly, if you have connections that you know you can go to, suddenly it's so much easier because it's not like, oh, it's just me on my own with my films. Suddenly it's, oh, okay, so I know Annabelle has written this script and I know Jeanette's also written this script and Cameron's directing this and da-da-da-da, you know? And Charlotte's going to act in all of them because Charlotte's email address is Charlotte Campbell Actor. So we've got a whole thing going on, you know? So if you want any kind of like bonus prize, there isn't a bonus prize, but whatever, you know, make friends with one other person in the group. So when everyone's talking about what kind of points of value you have, or if someone's struggling to find them, you know, let people know in the comments what it is that you do, what you lean into, what you want to share, all of that stuff, okay? So unless anyone has suddenly thought of a question, I will let you guys go and see you all tomorrow. Everyone good? You good? Okay. All right, see you
Thank
tomorrow.
you. Bye.
Okay.